2015 is underway in McGurk Arena.
Well, we see Braylon Rayson take the ball first. That's the big question. Who's going to handle the ball with no Chris Fowler?
Rayson going right to the rack, has it stripped the other way. And here come the visitors, greeted with some boos the other side. Chippewas love to run up and down the floor. They can stroke it from deep as well. Luke Meyer unable to finish on the alley-oop. And here comes the team in red.
Got a track meet going so far. Fans are going to stand on their feet until a made basket by the visitors. That's a new trend this season for Central Michigan.
Jacksonville State, they like to slow it down, play their offense. Again, new shot clock this year, just 30 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that. And we have our first points of the game from one of the guys that is returning, the senior, Jaquel Townser, gets the Gamecocks on the board first.
And Braylon Rayson had his hand nearly down his throat. I mean, he was so close, yet Townser able to make that shot contested. Big bucket, get on the board first. This offense doesn't score a lot. They need some early buckets.
Townser had 16 in their opener against Miles College, an exhibition. Rayson unable to hit from the top, but Rayshawn Simmons gets the board. He'll fire for three. Back-to-back offensive rebounds, and the sophomore Luke Meyer draws the call. He'll head to the free throw line for CMU.
Luke looks bigger. He was in the weight room, came in last year, him up, and he's a lot stronger now in the paint. You can see him fighting a lot harder for those loose balls.
Any Chippewa fans out there notice a difference with Mr. Meyer? That would be correct. He's wearing a different number this year, 24 this season. Braylon Rayson also wearing a different number. He took Luke's former number. He now wears number 2 as Meyer hits the first free throw.
So Braylon leads the MAC in jersey changes. His third number now, or 0, 5, and now 2.
What's he going to do next year?
We'd like to see him stick with the number.
Luke Meyer knocks him down both. And we're tied at 2 early on in this first half, just underway inside McGurk Arena. Kick out 3 to the corner is up. It's too strong, but a good offensive rebound. That's something that this Jacksonville State team likes to do, Jim. They like to crash the glass, and that's a lot of how their offense works.
It is, and they're not a team that shoots the ball at a high level, although the guy that we did see shoot it there, Eric Durham, he is going to be a guy that they try to look to in transition to make some threes, but it's going to have to come near the rim, and part of that is offensive rebounding.
Get it inbound to Durham, and they'll run it around. Townser, Hamilton, Durham, Ba, and Drumright, the 5 on the floor in red. This is Townser trying to break down Simons. Misses badly over to the right, and Luke Meyer tracks it down. Simmons will push, draws the contact, no shot on the play, and the Chippewas will get it out of bounds. Rayshawn Simmons is a guy that showed us last year that when Chris Fowler wasn't on the floor, or even if he was capable of bringing the ball up the floor. So expect a lot of that tonight with no Fowler on the floor at all.
Yeah, no Chris Fowler in this game as we touched to start the broadcast. Rayshawn was still one of the top point guards in the MAC, even when he was an off-ball guy and got his chances.
Drumright with the steal, quickly ahead. Josh Kaczynski swats it out of bounds. It'll remain with Jacksonville State.
Yeah, Kaczynski comes in, Stewart will sit on the bench. That's that 5th spot that they're trying to account for with no Chris Fowler.
You saw the replay, it looked pretty clean to me. Eric Durham tried to go up and get the contact. Kaczynski gets a rare block, not something he's known to do. A lot of returners for CMU, but still a pretty young squad. Meyer out there just a sophomore, Kaczynski a sophomore. It'll be interesting to see how deep this team goes this year. 5 on the shot clock. Another miss, but the offensive rebound up between 2 defenders, and somehow Eric Durham finds the bottom of the net. And there's a turnover. Rayson has it go off of his leg. And Jacksonville State doing a nice job defensively early on, forcing CMU to commit errors.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job keeping their feet in front of them, keeping the offensive player in front of him, and that's 2 turnovers early now for Rayson. He's going to take a seat on the bench.
Rayson checks out. Austin Stewart comes into the game. Little 3-quarter court trap from CMU as Jacksonville State pushes it up the floor. Townser with the ball. He started 25 of the 26 games last year for Jacksonville State. He was injured in the last 5, but he's their floor general. Drumright unable to hit And Luke Meyer doing a nice job on the glass so far for CMU. Simmons with the blow-by, and we'll get another whistle out front. Impressed with Jacksonville State so far. They made the long trip up from, not Florida, Jim, but Alabama. We got to get that one right.
Yeah, there's some trivia for you. They're Jacksonville State. They play in Jacksonville, Alabama, and they're in the Ohio Valley Conference. So you got to keep all your states in order.
Geographics, exactly what they thought, exactly what we thought they would be. They're in the Ohio Valley East is Jacksonville State, and they're in front 4-2. Turning over the Chippewas early on. CMU, this is their first game as well. Simon's a big contributor from last year's team. Josh Kozinski loves the three, and he decides to use the window.
Well, he loves the three ball and a high release. That 6'4" frame and a high release makes his shot really hard to alter.
First lead of the game for CMU, still early on, just about 4 minutes in. Thanks for joining us tonight on ESPN3, live inside McGurk Arena. Kick out three created by Drumright, but it's missed by Townser. Central Michigan looking to push. Kozinski on the skip pass. Good skying rebound from Hamilton. And we go back and forth. Good finish in the lane. Hamilton, the freshman out of Charlotte, North Carolina, gets the bucket. Said Jacksonville State doesn't like to run, but so far they've been pretty content with doing it. They've been able to get buckets out in transition. In the meantime, Rayshawn Simmons continues to draw fouls on Jacksonville State. That's already their third, and we'll take our first media timeout. Just underway in 2015, and so far we got a good one. Inside McGurk. Out most to you.
Well, you touched on it. The shot clock being 30 seconds. Central Michigan already played with that shot clock in the NIT last year. It's an effort to speed the game up, make it more exciting for fans.
Stewart's able to hit the bucket and put CMU back in front. Yeah, Central Michigan made it to the NIT last season, and they did indeed use that. The officials thought that it worked well for the invite games that they played, and they decided to adapt that here full time. More offense. Everybody loves more offense. Speaking of offense, you get the bucket from the corner as Jared Hamilton gets another to go down.
Well, and Adam, you might say more offense, but I would argue if you've got good defenses, you can shut it down too. I think what it just means is more action. It doesn't necessarily mean more offense. It means you got to work quicker and you can't just palm the basketball.
Sure. Stewart controls the ball out front for CMU, back and forth early on. You know, John Simons is eager to pull a three, hasn't been able to get one off. 5 on the shot clock. They work it down, and Duron Scott finishes off the glass.
I mean, if you're Austin Stewart, you find Duron near the rim. He's looking pretty good so far to start this season, finishing right near the rim.
You got an official called timeout. It looked like Jacksonville State wanted to sub, and they weren't granted it. So we'll get a couple of subs coming in. Greg Tucker checks in as he comes off the bench for the first time, the junior from Charleston, Missouri. We talked about it, Jacksonville State, it may not be all freshmen on this team, but 9 new players, Jim. A lot of transfers, though. That makes it difficult for Coach James Green. He's got to implement his system quickly for this 2015 season.
Well, I told you that. I mean, they got 3 guys in the starting lineup that have never played at this university. I mean, there's a lot of meshing that still has to go on.
We've got a foot on the baseline, out of bounds the call. Jeremy Watson. He transferred in from Shelton State Community College. Get the view here. Weren't able to see if he stepped out, but we trust the official that was standing right in front of him. 6 minutes gone by already here in this first half. Chippewas by 1. And a lob trying to go up top for Duron Scott. Out of bounds, it'll stay with CMU.
Yeah, not a great pass. He kind of threw it low, and Watson did a nice job getting his hand on it in the air. And Duron Scott likes to finish around the rim. We saw him throw out some dunks last year at McGurk Arena, but you got to get it up for him.
Simmons trying to drive all the way to the basket, and he draws another foul. He's been beaten up already 4 times. The defender has been called on Rayshawn Simmons. He finally earns a trip to the line.
Yeah, he finally gets rewarded. The last 3, there's no continuation in the college game, so they were just fouls on the spot. But he's been very aggressive early, and you figure he has to be. Chris Fowler not playing in the game. He's got the ball in his hands. Force the issue, get in the lane.
Touch on those rule changes while we've got a quick break. Luke Meyer checking back in for Duran Scott. The other big thing, 4 timeouts now for the entire game, and one of those doesn't carry over. So you only have 3 timeouts max in the second half. They moved the charge lane out. That's the gold lane when you get a look at that down on the floor here inside McGurk Arena. And the other big thing, Jim, is the 5-second rule. When someone's dribbling the ball, there's no longer a 5-second violation. Drive down to the basket. Net gets bumped a little bit. Kaczynski comes out with it, and here's Simmons weaving his way all the way to the basket. Good finish.
Just a blur going defense to offense. What's in his Wheaties? He's been going to the basket hard the entire game.
Simmons trying to step up and fill the shoes that Chris Fowler has left.
Adam, you talk about the rule changes, and it's just, if you really boil it down and say, well, what do they want to accomplish? They don't want standing around. They don't want the game to stop. They want the game to be free-flowing and moving, and all those rules, I think, are going to do that.
There's an offensive foul. That's another one that we'll have to watch, is the touchy calls on defense. And the other way to speed up the game is the media timeouts. That's something that you and I look at, but they've created a window 30 seconds between when the media timeout actually starts. They go to a media timeout, so then you don't have the back-to-back whistles or the back-to-back timeouts. That's going to help as well.
Well, one thing that we didn't have on the graphic there that I think is interesting too, the coach can't call a timeout when the ball's live. So right now, Keno Davis can't call a timeout when Central has the ball. It has to be a player that decides to do that.
Racing a good crossover, gets to the basket and draws the whistle. We'll have a women's game for you later, and they've made some big changes as well. So we'll wait for next game to explain those.
Yeah, keeping us on our toes. You got to brush up on the rule book this season, but happy to have basketball back, because guess what? There's still a lot in common from last year.
Braylon Rayson, the one thing he had in common, and we'll see if he does this year, he was tremendous at the free throw line. He led CMU program record for percentage. 89% that young man was from the stripe. Hits the first, and I jinxed him. Misses the second, 1 for 2. CMU in front by 6, 14-8.
See if the Gamecocks can get some offense going. It seems like they've kind of sputtered and slowed down, and they haven't really gotten a quality look in a little bit of time here.
They miss a lot of shots, but they crash the offensive glass hard. That one way off the mark from Tucker.
And maybe he should lay off some threes.
Rayson going the other way. An offensive foul, it looks like, against Luke Meyer. And it is. Not sure what they called. But an offensive foul, and Meyer picks up the personal. Duran Scott will come back in for CMU. That's the big part this year, is who's going to step up. We saw the 2 bigs last year, Scott and Meyer, both of them freshmen. They're a year older. They're matured. They're stronger. We'll see which one steps up and gets the more playing time this season, because that's a big role down inside. And
they might both play in some looks. I mean, we could see Luke Meyer play some of that number 4 spot, the power forward spot on offense.
Chippewa's in, it looks like a 3-2 zone, but Jacksonville State's able to get the bucket. Andre Statham ends the drought for the Gamecocks. Good move from Simmons, weaving his way, and finds the shot off the glass.
Yeah, Drumright's having a hard time with that matchup. He just got kind of twisted, and once he lost position, he couldn't do anything to stop Rayshawn Simmons from getting to the hoop.
How do the Gamecocks figure out this 3-2 zone that the Chippewas are applying?
See, they're just cycling around the perimeter. You got to get somebody inside.
They settle for a contested off-balance shot that misses everything. And Simmons quickly will push it up. Coach Davis calls it out. Simmons will set it up. All the way to the basket. No one picked him up. That's just too easy.
You've got to get someone in his way. He's hard enough when he can cross you up. When you can't get off that screen, and it's a double screen at the top with Simons and Duran Scott, it's a really tough screen to get around, but you have to keep somebody back.
Jacksonville State exploded for 110 points in their opening exhibition game, but they actually lost their last one to West Georgia. They were held to 78 points. I say held, but still a good margin in that one as well. Struggling early on to find anything, but again, there's the offensive glass. A miss inside, though, from Watson, and Rayson comes out with it. You've got Simmons that can run the point. Rayson, he can do it as well. Little step back. Braylon loves that shot, doesn't get it. Gets his own rebound, takes the harm, and he finishes. And the Chippewas have doubled up the Gamecocks 20-10 with 10:27 left to play in this first half.
Braylon Rayson all over there, 5'9" guard. He rebounds the ball well, and he got it and went to the rim.
All right, that'll bring us to our second media timeout. We'll come back and talk more about these two teams. Chippewas in front by 10, thanks to this man, Rayshawn Simmons. Difference between these two teams, CMU returns their entire starting lineup, Jim. As for the Gamecocks, they've got 9 brand new faces on this year's team.
9 new players. They lost 69% of their offense from last season, so new faces, and you got to find a way to score. You got to find a way to gel and get something going offensively.
Man, they have struggled to score in the last couple of minutes, and that's going to continue. A travel at the top from Jeremy Watson, and the ball goes back to CMU.
It's now a 7-minute drought since we saw the Gamecocks put the ball in the hoop.
As for Central Michigan, they've leaned on Rayshawn Simmons early on. He has 6 points to lead CMU. Braylon Rayson, the other guard, a couple of their experienced players, he has 5. So the two Chippewas in the backcourt playing well. There is Braylon Rayson, sporting the white headband this year for CMU. Where's number 2? Talked about that earlier, changed that from 0, changed it from 5. Smallest man on the floor, throws it up to one of the tallest on the floor. And Duran Scott hammers it through.
Adam, he didn't have to oop it. He wanted to oop it. He had him open and said, let's go, let's make a play.
Touchy foul on John Simons at the top. That's his first, the senior. Duran Scott, he's pretty darn athletic. It's fun to see him go up and get those balls.
Was so raw last season, got in foul trouble often. That's the big test for him now, is avoiding ticky-tack calls, staying in a game, and showing off that athleticism on both ends of the floor.
Malcolm Drumright, he can score it. He's number 21 out there for Jacksonville State. They may want to look to get him the ball. They do draw the whistle. Hand checks and putting your hand on the body this year, that's a big emphasis for officials. They're not going to let that slide. Those are the 2 last fouls that have been called on CMU. Rayson picks up the loose ball, 2-on-2 the other way. He goes right at 2 defenders and draws the contact. It's fun to watch a guy that's 5'9" go up against the trees and try and get to the bucket.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of 3-pointers for Central Michigan in this game, and it's because they're just going to the rim. If that's there, they'll take it. The kickout game would come later in their offense, but right now they're getting a chance to go to the rim, and whether it's Rayshawn Simmons or Braylon Rayson, both of them are getting there pretty much with ease.
Central Michigan was dabbed 3 MU last year. They broke the MAC record for 3s in a season. Rayson, he was one of the guys that knocked down a good amount of them. Austin Stewart helped out with that. John Simons, Josh Kaczynski, you can't forget about him as well. A lot of weapons on this CMU team. Big difference, the experience between these two teams. The other one as well, Chippewas can shoot it from deep. Central Michigan back in that man-to-man defense. Gamecocks trying to get it down inside. They go to Bob. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Gamecocks are lost. They'll heave it up, and that one goes through for Andre Statham, the freshman, with a big shot to end another drought.
And that wasn't a good offensive series at all. They got very fortunate to find Statham, who, I mean, that's a tough shot to hit in his zone, right? Not a shot you draw, but right at the end of the shot clock, it counts.
Simmons will hoist. The senior has been good early on as he knocks down another bucket. Doesn't usually do it from outside, but he did that time, and CMU's back in front by 14. Drumright will take the fadeaway and rattles it home. Something to build on for Jacksonville State. Back-to-back buckets. Get a little offensive rhythm, and they're within 12. Rayshawn gets the kind roll off the top. That's how you know you're at home.
Yeah, Chippewas are starting to heat up. Saw this happen last year at McGurk Arena a lot. The shots just start falling, a couple fortunate bounces, and they can really start to put teams away. If you're Jacksonville State right now, you've got to start finding some easy looks offensively. Durham's a guy you might want to get involved. Guy that scored 16 points a game at Lamar State College, and got to try to find him. He's been quiet.
Drumright has been quiet as well. He misses too long. Simmons with some good handles to the basket. Unable to get the finish, and we've got a whistle underneath. It looks like it'll go on Duron Scott. That one's not going to make Keno Davis happy that far away from the basket. The things that will make him happy, the three balls and the bounce from Rayshawn. Chippewas in front by 50. Not playing, he could sulk down, be upset. He's not suiting up with his team, but he's still out there helping and making sure that they're around. He's got so many crazy stats. Assist leader, he led them in points, but I think the biggest one is the fact that he had started and played in every game since he stepped on this campus. That's remarkable. Jacksonville State coming out trying to figure out how they can score points. It's not been easy. Unkind roll comes off the rim. Austin Stewart tracks it down. Above average rebounder last year was the senior Austin Stewart.
Well, we haven't seen Townser play the point much. That's where he was last year for Jacksonville State.
John Simons misses everything. It was touched last by the Gamecocks, and it'll stay with CMU. 19 seconds left on the shot clock.
Townser's been mostly off ball in this game. He started originally at point, led the team last year in assists, but they've decided to go with Drumright a lot more in terms of having the ball and trying to create.
Stewart now works with the basketball for CMU. Good pump fake, and he'll go to the basket, tries to throw it down, and a blocking foul called underneath against Ba. You could hear the oohs and ahs here inside McGurk Arena.
Adam, he tried to put him on a poster. I guess in today's day and age, it would be on a GIF. Can't finish as he goes near the rim, though.
He got the ups to get up there and dunk the ball. Why not try it? Austin Stewart won't get it, but he'll take a trip to the free throw line and calmly sinks the first. Couple of subs coming back in for the visitors. Cunningham and Watson check back in. They'll replace Statham along with Buys. Those two take a seat. Stewart knocks them both down. And the lead is up to 17. Delfinko Bogan is checked in, a freshman. He has the ball, wears 0 for the Gamecocks as he brings it up the floor from right to left. Got off to a good start. They were crashing the glass, picked up some of their missed shots, turned CMU over. Since then, though, they have struggled to find points.
Well, they've struggled to find the paint. I think that's the biggest thing, getting the paint.
And we've got to travel. Well, Townser tried to get in there, but got to give credit. This was a CMU team last year that wasn't certainly the best part of their game was their offense. And that's the one thing coming into this season. We didn't know how good is their defense going to be. I think that's something that they wanted to improve on a lot coming into this 2015 season.
That's one thing that was talked about a lot at Media Day with the Central Michigan team. It was, well, you got so many guys back, how can you be better? And they pointed to defense, the first thing.
Simmons a kick out, wide open. Luke Meyer says, I'll try one. John Simons cleans up the miss, but he gets stripped, and here comes the Gamecocks. Right down the middle, Drumright. Nice with the left hand off the glass.
Well, if you can't break them down in the half court, you got to run when you get the ball, and it's a good job trying to get something in transition.
Sophomore transfer, able to get to the basket. The sophomore from CMU answers with a three from the corner. Josh Kozinski, the first time we've called his name. Led the team in threes attempted last year. He loves the outside of the arc. Drumright will step outside. Yes! Malcolm Drumright starting to settle in. They need him to play well. He led them in scoring on Monday night with 18. Had 14 against Miles College. He's got back-to-back baskets and now has 5 for JSU.
Well, he's 3 of 9 now, but he started 0 of 5, so he's starting to find his groove. And you're right, he's had a lot of shots. He's had the ball in his hand a lot. He's got to get in a rhythm.
Correction, 7 points for Drumright. In the meantime, John Simons will head to the free throw line for CMU. Selected All-MAC first team in the preseason. He was a big cog last year for CMU and why they had the season that they did. We talk about Chris Fowler and the other senior that's played just as much and been just as reliable. Maybe gets under the shadow a little bit, but he's one of their best players.
And he shot 46% from 3 last year. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's among the best in college basketball. And now he does have the lead on the team in terms of consecutive starts with 95. He's been a pillar of consistency, and he becomes a really lethal weapon as a big that can shoot.
Nice shot once again. Malcolm Drumright heating up. And he is within a point of hitting double figures. Putting the scoring on his back right now for Jacksonville State. 37-22, Chippewas in front. This half has gone by quickly. Simmons gets inside. Ball tapped around. Austin Stewart fighting for it. Loose ball with Hamilton. Who's going to come up with it? And we've got a jump ball. Austin Stewart tried to call timeout, wasn't able to in time, and the possession arrow flips it back over to the Gamecocks. I think it's pretty simple right now. You get the ball in the hands of number 21. He's got it right now. Scored the last 7 for Jacksonville State. He matches up with Rayshawn Simmons at the top. Feeling confident, and he knocks down another one.
He's on fire right now. He's made 5 of his last 6 shots.
He's fun to watch, and he comes up with a block. It was after the whistle, but he's able to come over. Looks like he picks up the personal. And that'll lead us to our final media timeout of this first half. Jacksonville State trying to claw their way back in. Malcolm Drumright has them within 13.
Last year, has just 1 today, and for the most part, the offense has worked away from him, and he's going to get his look.
At Southwestern Illinois College. Jim, can you tell me the mascot?
They're the Blue Storm, Adam.
Oh, you looked that one up,
I did.
you?
There's no way I would have known that, but that's a cool name, right?
It is a cool name. Played for the Blue Storm for a couple of seasons, and the Gamecocks are happy to have him here. Happy to have him down in Alabama. Couple of free throws go in for the Chippewas. 15-point lead, under 4 minutes left to play in what has been a speedy first half to open the 2015 season. Nice turnaround jump shot from Jared Hamilton. He got off to a quick start, 4 quick points. Had been quiet, but he adds 2 more. He's up to 6. Second leading scorer behind Malcolm Drumright for the Gamecocks. Simmons has been equally as good for CMU. Can't hit, but John Simons comes out of there with the offensive rebound. Rayson tries to go up with it, and it falls out of bounds on the baseline. Back to Jacksonville State. This is a time right now, 3:15. You want to keep it around 10, see if you can sneak under and get the lead under 10. They've got to make the run right now, though. Central Michigan will sink back into that 3-2 zone with Simmons at the top. Open 3 is there, but it's too strong as Jeremy Watson couldn't hit it. Good drive by Simons, nearly threw it away. Simmons a launch. Got it.
Adam, Rayshawn's got a couple threes in this game. He was not a very good three-point shooter last season, and that's an area he's got to improve on if he's going to be a dangerous dual threat, a guy that can get to the rim and then show you that stop and pop game, that time a catch and shoot.
14 points for Simmons, leads everyone on the floor and everyone in this game. Good work by Jacksonville State to get it inside, and a whistle called, I believe, on the sophomore. Luke Meyer picks it up. Take a look at the replay here. Yeah, there's some body contact with Luke Meyer. They're going to call that. And Jeremy Watson will head to the line. That's the 5th foul on CMU in this first half. Chippewa's already in the double bonus, 10 on Jacksonville State. First free throw goes down. Duron Scott checks in as he replaces the sophomore Meyer. Watson hits the second. And it looks like Jacksonville State going to go with a little full court press. Rayson will bring it up for CMU. That's the one thing. The Chippewas were really good last year with the ball, Jim. Not a lot of turnovers from the backcourt. Good block. Christian Cunningham getting way up there. The 6'6" freshman just knocked it away.
He wanted to find Duron Scott, who was just waiting to take off, and no such luck.
Yeah, not sure if it was a block or if it was a pass. It looked like it may have been a pass, but either way, a turnover. A triple try from the outside is short, and Duron Scott brings down the rebound. Simmons flying down the floor. Kaczynski an open three. Good box out, and back up ahead they have Bogan. He's unable to finish, but a good cleanup underneath. Jared Hamilton now has 8, and a timeout called by Keno Davis, as CMU's lead has been cut to 12. I know that Jacksonville State doesn't like to get up and down the floor, but they've seemed to have some success. The Chippewas have been caught napping a little bit, trying to get back in transition defense.
Well, you really don't have a choice. If you can't break it down in the half court, you've got to run when you get a chance. You have to turn a turnover into offense.
See this last play as was earlier, Stewart trying to get to the basket. What have you seen so far from Jacksonville State to keep them in this game? It was the mini run from Drumright, 11 points. He leads Jacksonville State. That's been the difference for me to keep them in it.
Well, yeah, him heating up is a big reason that they're able to keep pace, because Central Michigan has a great offense. We touched on it all broadcast long. They're going to shoot. They're going to get offense. You have to keep up, and Drumright's a big part of that. Offensive rebounds, another big part of that.
Jacksonville State's only turned it over 6 times as you look at the 4th-year man, Keno Davis. Chippewas have turned it over 8 times.
4 of those, Braylon Rayson.
Central Michigan shooting 54% from the field. And they've knocked down 5 triples. That's been the difference so far. Simmons has been great. Gets it blocked, though, again. Cunningham. We have a whistle underneath. And it's going to go on Andre Statham.
You can see the athleticism of this Jacksonville State team with some of these blocks, whether it's a block on an oop, a block shot right there near the rim, and the fact that they actually run really well going in transition.
Duron Scott will try his luck at the line. First free throw rolls off. Chippewa's lead was as large as 18. Jacksonville State led by 2 early on, 4-2. CMU in front now by 13. 1 minute left to play in this first half. Again, the goal always at the end of the half, try and cut into that deficit, maybe get it under double digits. We'll see if Jacksonville State can put together a couple of possessions. They work it inside. Cunningham just flips it up. A lot of action in the paint. Finally, a bucket goes. Jared Hamilton, he's been impressive. He now has double figures with 10. And the lead is down to 11.
Just a freshman, too, battling around Duron Scott, who's got a big upper body and had both hands in the air.
About a 7-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. So Jacksonville State will get 1 more possession if they hurry. Simmons a launch. Way off, and that'll Karim out of bounds. And it'll go back to Jacksonville State. Plenty of time, just under 14 seconds left. Coach James Green giving some extra encouragement to Bogan as he'll bring it down the floor.
Drum right not in the game. We'll see who they want to take that last shot.
Bogan has it in his hands. 7 seconds to go in the first 20 minutes. They go to Townser. Good pass inside. Kick out and an open look at the buzzer. It's too strong. Good ball.